Hello, this is Ishmael, and I do something I call sunrise ramblings not every sunrise, but some sunrises. But right now it's in the middle of the day, but I'm gonna do ramblings. This one is just about some uh, basic needs of populations of civilizations, and basically what that is people need, and you see this reflected in constitutions around the world of different nations and bylines and all that. Uh, the chance for livelihood, and what that means is the ability to produce and produce the things that either help you to sustain yourself and your family uh, directly or indirectly. So that means you could be producing something that you sell, and then in that, through trade, you can get the other things that you actually need, uh, and distribute out things that other people need, or directly to grow your own stuff. And generally, that means uh, maybe a little bit of land, a roof over your head. It means access to things like palatable water, or at least water which is clean enough that it can be processed further and then consumed, used for washing yourself and then your clothes, uh, and then some sense of security that these things that you build, that you have, that you maintain, cannot be easily taken from you. And these are some pretty basic things, and there's a few more, but those are the main ones. I think you can say freedom of speech and ability to express yourself, and those are really important too, but maybe less important than the first ones. So, when you don't have those basic things, ability to have livelihood and safety, and ability to sustain yourself, it's pretty dire. And we see around the world, in many places, there's this is not available to those people, and they're dying very quickly. Every day, more people die. And why is this happening? It depends on the area. War. One of the biggest things about war, aside from weapons actually killing people, is that there's no stability, and people are not safe. And if they're not safe, then they cannot cultivate, they cannot build, because you don't know what will happen tomorrow. And even if you do take a chance and you try to build or cultivate or whatever it is, produce something, before it's ready, it can be just taken from you. So, or you may die trying to protect it. So that happens. It also happens in places where there is no sense of ownership, there's no sense of cooperation or community, and therefore there's no sense of actually having something, land you can cultivate or things that you can build. And if you know some of your history, going way back, and then in recent times, you have areas where people cultivate and or harvest resources, and then you have the marauders, the bandits, who come and steal it. And sometimes that relationship can work if everyone respects each other, even though sometimes the marauders end up being the protectors of cultivators. But too often, what happens is that the marauders don't understand that their livelihood depends on these cultivators, and then they squeeze the cultivators too much, uh, don't support them, and then everyone dies because the cultivators can't cultivate, and then the marauders cannot maraud because they have no one to maraud to or from. Um, and this is some real basic, I mean, that's barely living, right? I mean, most people would agree that's barely living, but that's a step up for some areas, for some people. And so it's quite sad, you know. I think the other thing that happens is you have nations which are used to having human rights, and the human rights, you know, are beautiful. And if you have human rights and they're actually upheld, then you can build a society, and not only can you cultivate, but you can grow and prosper, and you get amazing things coming out of that society. But what happens when the greedy in the societies begin to not understand that their livelihood depends on the livelihood of the resources and the people that they are squeezing, that they are trying to capitalize on? When this gets too extreme, then the whole system breaks down, and especially for a society which has grown to a very large scale, when that system begins to break down, people have difficulty having livelihood. Yeah, they can have it, but it's difficult, gets more and more difficult. They cannot afford to sustain themselves. They cannot afford a home, a roof over their head. When this happens, then the system is broken, and people begin to suffer. And then, you know, the greedy people are destroying themselves as well as the society that they are living off of. And often they become very arrogant. They think they can do whatever they want, but they don't realize they are destroying themselves and their nation. And many times these people are so arrogant that they don't care. They think, well, if that happens, I can just move on and exploit somebody else. I'll just, you know, drain the blood of society until there's nothing left, and then I'll move on. Or I'll move on and, well, I'm sucking the blood out of them. I think, you know, there's a fundamental sickness that exists in all over the world, and at every level of society has existed or exists in some way, shape, or form. But how extreme and how bad it is, of course, varies a huge amount. What can we do? Well, first off, be worried to give too much power to any one person or any one group or any one alliance. Power should be distributed so that the needs of everyone, even if they have to battle it out politically or even on the ground, at least if they can be civilized, meaning they don't destroy each other, if they can, you know, if they can reach agreements for mutual benefit, even they have to compromise a little bit here. Each group have to compromise a bit, but if they can reach common goals, you know, and common goals are things we all need something. So if I can make a compromise that doesn't hurt me too much in order to gain the trust or the agreement with my neighbor, and they're willing to make a compromise for me, especially, then we have something that can work. And I think also another thing is greed is a great destroyer, because with greed, people forget that they are dependent on their environment and what's going on in their environment, and they just start to destroy their environment. And this is a huge disease within humanity. I mean, humanity, when it's working, is beautiful, but there are common reoccurring illness within it also, which is greed is probably right up at the top. So what do we do about that? We have to all learn some self-respect, and as part of that self-respect is to respect our environment, because our livelihood is dependent on the environment. So we need to respect our environment, and we need to respect our neighbors. And if we cannot respect our neighbors, then we cannot expect them to respect us. We cannot expect them to respect us if we don't respect them. If we try to dominate them, or overpower them, or steal from them, or take too much from them, then they're going to be defensive, and then we cannot reach an agreement. So we have to learn to respect ourselves, which means respecting each other. You cannot respect yourself without respecting the environment that you're in. And these go hand in hand. So if people, you want to be king of, on a mountain of gold, great, go for it. But don't build that mountain of gold on blood, because that means eventually you're going to lose everything, either because the resources that you've depended on to build that mountain, you've depleted them, you've destroyed them, or because someone smarter than you or stronger than you will come along and take what you have built for yourself. So, you gotta keep some respect going for yourself, for your environment, and for the people, especially the people you depend on. So anyway, in poorer countries, undeveloped countries, and in very developed countries throughout Europe and through the U.S. and Australia and Canada, you see it. And actually, no offense against England, because they're certainly not alone in this, but England has gone through this more than once. They rose to power, became a greedy empire, and then started to fall apart, and then they recovered, and they continued to live off of the old ways, and many times the people have lost respect for their rulers, for the government, and in the end they adopted pseudo-democracy, and that's a whole nother thing. I'm already getting there to 15 minutes, so I'm just gonna wrap it up. But everyone wants to get up and say that they fight for democracy, and yet, if you look at the actions, the elections they hold, they don't often honor, or they have the system set up so that, yes, you vote, and basically it's like you give your opinion, and then decisions are made not by popular vote, but by the system, whatever that system is. And then when the people of, because it's happening in the U.S. also, when the people are having such a hard time, they don't trust the system, and then you have even more problems, and you can only either fix your system and start to take care of the citizens, the people, give them opportunity, or you can come down hard on them to control them, and that is the dead end, of course. Same thing. So poor countries, rich countries, doesn't matter. It's the same problem. Yeah? We gotta start to learn how to take care of ourselves, which means taking care of ourselves personally, and our environment, and the people we depend on, and where we get our resources, and where we trade, and all that stuff. Please, let's get those greedy people out of positions of power. We need to be looking out for each other. I'm not naive. The other system doesn't work. If we don't look out for each other, we're dead. That's it.